Hey there, clean freaks. It's Hank Balch. We're back in studio with our video expert series on vendor management in sterile processing. And we got Matt Rechin back with us. We're going to be talking about, well, actually, I guess Rex, we're going to be talking about this top of license concept. We put um, a little tickler in our last interview that we did with Matt on the topic of the fear of the unknown, but we're going to dive in to this top of license thing that we brought up briefly last fall during sterile processing week. But I want to spend this episode and really dig in a little bit deeper to what it all means. So maybe start with describing what the concept actually entails. What did this come from, and what is it all about?
Yeah, Hank, thanks. Good afternoon, and great to be back. So let's talk about top of license. I loved the time that we spent together last fall during SPD week, just kind of introducing the concept. But top of license really means that your people are performing to the full extent of their accreditation, licensing, or education. So what that means is specific to the SPD is if you have people that are doing a bunch of manual tasks that are below their level of training, they're not performing at top of license. And just to give you an idea as to how prevalent this issue has become, since we last got together last fall, we've had a half dozen of our clients tell us that driving top of license performance in their SPD and the OR is a top strategic initiative for them. And this is from small community hospitals all the way up to very, very large top 10 IDNs in the country. So when you think about all of the challenges that SPD and OR teams are facing, particularly around folks leaving the industry or leaving their jobs, a big part of that starts with they're probably not performing at top of license.
Yeah, one of the big focuses over the last 5, 10, even 20 years in sterile processing has been the pursuit of additional education, additional certification, trying to get into that level that the credentials matter for us. And then at the same time, though, we haven't really paid a lot of attention, if any at all, to what does that mean for us on a practical level? What does it mean? And what does it mean for things maybe that we shouldn't be spending our time doing anymore if we've pursued all this additional licensure and certification? So when you first brought up this concept, last year, and I heard it, um, it immediately struck a chord and a nerve for me because it brings together that passion to excel in how we're educating ourselves and how we're growing to be professionals in sterile processing. But also, it's a very similar mission that we see our peers in the perioperative space do as well, because this is a common concept in the OR space to operate at top of license. And yet it has not historically transferred down to sterile processing. And so, what does this mean, I guess, when you're seeing folks out there begin to focus on this at a practical level? What are some things that you would maybe stop doing or try to automate or efficiency out of the process that's maybe not at the top of the license, maybe the middle or the bottom of the license, if you will?
Sure. Well, let's begin with the data and the research is clear. Hospitals, as a part of their dealing with some of the financial challenges that many hospitals are dealing with, they are asking more and more and more of their people. And typically, in the past, hospitals were able to provide a lot of training in order to educate people on how they could do these additional things. Now they don't have those same resources. So lack of training, lack of instruction, lack of communication all lead to not being able to achieve top of license performance, particularly in your SPD. So let's think about what does that mean in a real life world. Let's just say, for example, for a typical bill only case or orthopedic case, the number of times that someone in an SPD has to stop what they're doing to pick up a phone and manually call or text a vendor to find out where the trays are coming, or when and where the trays are coming, how much is coming, all those types of things. That's a great example of not operating at top of license. Anybody can figure that out, but here's a manual task that is taking someone away from, as an example, processing trays for the OR. So they're stopping what they're doing to pick up the phone and find out where the trays are for a case that's coming. We've got clients who've shown us where people have spent their entire shift literally just on the phone speaking with vendors about either schedule changes or identifying when trays are coming, or saying trays aren't where they're supposed to be, or they can't find the trays, or whatever it may be. All of those things are obstacles to top of license, particularly in the SPD.
It reminds me, Rex. I graduated college, and one of my first jobs out of college was stocking at a grocery store, second shift, stocking the shelves. And there was a little thought that crossed my mind, a couple weeks into the job, looking around and saying, I went to college for 4 years and got all this student debt, and this is the job that I'm doing now as a college graduate. Not that I wasn't better than that job, but that's not the license that I was pursuing. That was not the desire that I wanted to apply my skill set and my passion to. And that scenario that you alluded to, with being on the phone all day, uh, that's also not what all of our sterile processing technicians do who are pursuing certificate. That's not what they want to do in pursuing certification, in getting these credentials, triple crown, golden crown credentials, like um, part of AMI work groups to impact the standards. They're not doing all those things in order to spend half their shift playing a very expensive game of hide and seek, or phone a friend. And that's why this top of license conversation, I think, is so attractive to me and many other clinicians, because it makes sense of all of this pursuit of growth and expertise to be able to apply that to the most critical aspects of our jobs, and then push off these other things uh, that are more manual and could be digitized, could be automated, to free us to then apply that skill set where it's really needed.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know this, Hank, in your audience, but folks in the SPD and the OR, they are a whatever it takes, let's get the job done kind of people. That's why they're there in the hospital. They keep the surgical machine running, so to speak, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that the patient is getting the very best level of care they can. So just if, as an example, with ReadySet, you're able to, at the touch of a button, be able to identify what your case readiness status is. You're able to see exactly when the vendor is bringing the trays in. You're able to see exactly where they are once they arrive. It's highly interoperable, so it's able to work with your existing tracking system or IT infrastructure. And it really helps drive improved top of license performance. And it goes way beyond just someone having to stay on a phone. Think about it. It's like, well, I spent the whole day at the sink today doing manual cleaning. I haven't done that in 3 years, but I had to do it. Like, those things, they all matter. And the more and more and more those things start to stack up, the greater the burden is on that SPD professional, where they really start to think, what the heck am I doing here? I'm not making an impact. I'm not helping patients get a healthier patient outcome.
And that's a terrific segue and setup, actually, for the next episode. We're going to have you back on talking about staff burnout in sterile processing related to many of these manual processes. And so, for everyone tuning in, I hope this top of license conversation prompted a couple of aha moments if you hadn't heard that phrase or this concept before. And I know Rex and his team would love to share more about what it has mean out there in the space, even maybe to connect you with some other facilities out there that are implementing this concept and this recognition in their own sterile processing teams. We're going to have their contact information in the description of this episode below, and you can feel free to connect with them, obviously, through LinkedIn as well. But as I said, stay tuned here for the next episode when we bring Rex back in studio. to talk about staff burnout. And until then, like we tell you every week here at Beyond Clean, thank you for watching and keep fighting dirty.